I'm Brian Peterson.
I'm Ben Robertson.
And we're the narrators, and we have Andrew McGowan, who's going to be acting our scenes out.
And this is all about Sparta. Sparta's government was mainly an oligarchy, but it included democratic elements. They had two kings from two different families, but neither had absolute power, and what power they had, they shared. They had to answer to a council of elders, or Gerousia. Members of Gerousia were 28 all-male citizens over the age of 60. These elders were elected to the Gerousia, and they served for life. Below the Gerousia, there was another council called the Apella. The Apella were all-male citizens over the age of 30, and they voted on proposals that originated in the Gerousia.
Who opposes the new military spending?
I object.
Members of this body also elected the elders who served on the Gerousia. To complete the system of checks and balances, the Spartans created a judicial system called E4. At any time, there were 5 citizens over the age of 30 serving in this role. They were elected to serve 1-year terms. And E4 could bring charges against anyone in Sparta, even a king.
King Brian, you are under arrest.
Spartan citizens used helots, which was a group of slaves owned by Sparta. Slaves would work in the fields, and they also kept the house, like cooking and cleaning. It was unsure, though likely, whether they were privately owned slaves, but some texts mentioned they were. Some of the slaves came from babies that was determined to be weak in their birth exam. Privately owned slaves, or chattel slaves, could be sold or traded. Slaves were treated badly.
The women in Sparta had no rights, but they did control the household and the land, because the men were always away at war or with the military. Women were treated very poorly in Sparta, and they were not even allowed to attend most parties. When new babies were born, soldiers would come to examine them.
I love my precious child.
Let me examine that baby.
If the baby did not look healthy, it was taken away and left to die, or trained as a slave.
My baby!
If the babies were healthy, the baby was assigned a membership in a brotherhood or a sisterhood. Children lived with their mothers in the women's quarters until they were 7 years old. They slept in wicker baskets or wooden cradles. Children played with balls, miniature chariots, rattles, yo-yos, rocking horses, and dolls. And many had small pets, especially dogs.
Go fetch. The boys in Sparta were sent to military camps of their brotherhood when they turned 7. There they learned how to read and write until they were about 14 years of age, and were taught to be tough. The Spartans were most envied by the Greeks. To make boys tough, as the government wanted, they were given little clothing and no shoes. They made them sleep on hard beds made of reeds, and did not get any covers. They were not given much food, and then they were trained very strict survival skills to how to be a good soldier. Reading and writing was known as a secondary skill. Between ages 18 to 20, each boy had to pass a fitness test. This consists of many physical activities, including push-ups and running. If they did not pass the test, they would become a parochial, or a person of the middle class who had no political rights and was not even considered a citizen. If the boy did pass the test, they would advance to the military and continue to train to be a soldier until they were 60 years of age. The main goal for Sparta's military was to be the absolute best, destroying all intruders and invading other cities. The girls of Sparta were trained in the school of their sisterhood and taught many physical traits. Classes included wrestling, gymnastics, and combat training. The Spartans wanted girls to be strong so they would have healthy children. At age 18, the Spartan girls also had to pass a fitness test. This included running and flexibility training. She then was assigned a husband and allowed to return home. If she failed the test, she would become a parochial.
Trade in Sparta was pretty much non-existent. This is not because their economy was weak, but they were completely self-supporting. This was a military strategy. By not allowing any outside influence or foreign visitors, their enemies had no idea about their military strength or tactics. This proved key in many of their victories over the years. Foreigners were discouraged from visiting Sparta, and outsiders would likely bring ideas that could upset the Spartan system.
You have to go back. What? You have to go back. I can't.
The Spartan government also discouraged pursuits that had no direct relationship to the military. As a result, the Spartans did not make significant achievements in art, literature, philosophy, or architecture. The Spartan leadership regarded most aspects of culture as irrelevant or corrupting.